All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Delta Corp.
Sounds good.
You wanted to know more about this company, so we are diving into their latest investor call transcript and some related documents.
Awesome.
Buckle up, because we've got a roller coaster ride of information to unpack.
Looking forward to it.
We got GST shakeups, ambitious projects, and kind of a glimpse into like the behind the scenes of the casino world.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how Delta Corp is navigating, this changing landscape,
Right.
having to adapt to new regulations and diversify their portfolio.
Yeah, and first up, let's talk about the GST gamble.
Okay.
So India recently changed how casinos are taxed, and Delta Corp had to adjust pretty fast.
Yeah, exactly. Before October 1st, Delta Corp was paying a 28% goods and services tax, GST on their gross gaming revenue.
Which is the money they make from the tables?
Right. Basically, over 20% of their table earnings went straight to taxes.
Wow.
But now, things are different.
Okay.
That same 28% GST is applied to the sale of chips,
Mhm.
not the revenue generated.
So instead of taxing the winnings, they're taxing the buy-in.
You got it.
So, let's walk through this.
Okay.
You walk into a Delta Corp casino.
Mhm.
You're ready to try your luck. You buy 100,000 rupees worth of chips to play under the old system.
Right.
The 28% GST would have been applied to whatever you won or lost playing with those chips.
Correct.
But now Delta Corp has to pay 21,000 rupees in GST the second you buy those
As
chips,
soon as you buy those chips.
regardless of if you win or lose.
Exactly. And since Delta Corp's actual earnings from those chips are about 70%
Okay.
of what players spend, this new GST rule is like adding a 6% cost to their operations.
Ouch.
Yeah,
That's a big hit.
it is.
So how did they try to handle this?
Well,
Would they just try to pass the cost on to the players?
initially, yes.
Okay.
They experimented with reducing the value of the chips
Oh, okay.
to account for the GST.
So
So if you bought 100,000 rupees worth of chips, you might only get 79,000 rupees to play with.
yeah, I can see why that wouldn't go over well.
Yeah, customers weren't happy,
Right.
and they started looking for alternatives.
Right. Less bang for your buck.
Exactly. Some went to competitors that weren't as strict with the GST,
Makes sense.
while others headed to gambling destinations like Nepal or Colombo.
Got it.
So this combined with the Diwali festivities
Right.
and the World Cup resulted in a dip in visitors for Delta Corp,
Okay.
down 6% year on year
Okay.
and 4% compared to the previous quarter.
So a little bit of a perfect storm for them?
Yeah,
Did that mean they were just accepting losses?
not at all.
Okay.
Delta Corp is known for being adaptable. So they pivoted their strategy and now offer a combination of regular chips and promotional chips.
Interesting. So how does that work?
So these promotional chips cover the GST cost and are given to players at buy-in.
Okay.
The catch is they can only be used for playing, not for cashing out.
Oh, interesting. So they're still absorbing the GST hit,
They are.
but in a way that's more palatable for
Yeah.
players. Did it work? Did that bring the customers back?
It seems so.
Okay.
December showed a promising return to pre-GST levels,
Great.
suggesting their strategy might be working.
Yeah.
It's early days, but definitely a positive sign.
So while they were figuring out this whole GST puzzle,
Yeah.
Delta Corp wasn't exactly sitting on their hands.
Oh, no.
They're making some big moves,
Big moves.
particularly when it comes to expansion.
Absolutely. Their plans are ambitious, to say the least.
Give us the details.
All right.
What's in the works?
Well, first up, they're launching a brand new ship in the third or fourth quarter of this year.
Oh, wow.
This new vessel is twice the capacity of their existing ship and will cost between 280 and 290 crore rupees.
Wow. That's a serious investment.
It is.
What's so special about this new ship?
Well, it's not just about gambling.
Okay.
They've gone all out to create like a full entertainment destination.
Oh, okay.
We're talking retail space, a salon, a food court,
Nice.
an outdoor event space, areas for children, and even a games arcade.
Wow. So maybe they're aiming to capture a broader audience than just like the hardcore gamblers.
It does appear that way.
Yeah.
It's a smart move considering the GST impact.
Right.
By offering more diverse entertainment options, they're appealing to a wider demographic and potentially reducing their reliance on pure gambling revenue, which is now subject to that tricky new tax.
Right, right. Okay, so that's the ship.
Mhm.
What else is on their construction agenda?
Well, in addition to conquering the seas,
Okay.
they're also building a 5-star deluxe hotel in Miramar, Goa,
Okay.
expected to be ready in 18 to 24 months.
Wow.
This project is estimated to cost over 450 crore rupees.
Another massive project.
Yeah,
Why the need for a new hotel, though? Don't they already have one?
they do, but it only has 106 rooms
Okay.
and often gets fully booked, especially on weekends.
Okay.
So this new hotel will significantly boost their capacity,
Mm-hmm.
which is crucial with the anticipated influx of guests from the new ship.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're thinking ahead,
Right.
making sure they have the infrastructure to handle all those new customers.
It's all about strategic planning
Right.
and anticipating future demand.
So we've got a mega ship and a fancy hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else?
They're also moving forward with their Goa Land project, starting with a water theme park.
Oh, right.
Remember that land?
That huge entertainment complex they were
Yeah.
planning.
But the project is now being rolled out in phases.
Okay.
The water park is phase 1, and it's expected to be a big draw for tourists.
Okay.
They've already invested around 130 crore rupees in the land
Wow.
and another 45 to 50 crore rupees in obtaining various licenses and clearances.
So they're starting with something family-friendly
Right.
and then building up
Yeah,
to the more ambitious parts of the project.
exactly.
Interesting strategy.
It is. It allows them to generate revenue and build excitement while they navigate the evolving regulatory landscape.
Okay, but here's where things take a turn.
Delta Corp isn't just betting on casinos anymore.
Hmm.
They're moving into real estate.
Ah, yes. Their recent investment in a joint venture with Peninsula Land Limited is certainly turning heads.
So they're branching out,
Yeah.
diversifying their portfolio.
Yes.
It makes you wonder what their long-term strategy is here.
Well, their approach seems to be focused on quick projects,
Okay.
redevelopments, and smaller scale ventures that offer faster turnaround times and higher rates of return.
Okay.
They're targeting a 25–30% IRR,
IRR.
internal rate of return on these projects.
Got it. So instead of massive long-term developments,
Oh,
they're
really?
going for quicker wins.
Exactly. They're focusing on projects in Mumbai and Goa,
Okay.
leveraging Peninsula Land's existing expertise in those regions.
But why partner with Peninsula Land specifically? Were
Yeah.
there no other options on the table?
Delta Corp did consider collaborations with some larger, more established real estate players,
Okay.
but they ultimately decided that a joint venture with Peninsula Land offered better synergy.
Mhm.
Peninsula Land has a strong track record of executing high-quality projects,
Okay.
and their existing project pipeline aligns well with Delta Corp's objectives.
So they did their research,
They did.
found a partner that complements their strengths.
Exactly.
Smart move.
It seems so,
Yeah, by combining their resources and expertise,
right?
they aim to capitalize on the current upswing in the real estate market.
Yes.
It's a calculated move to diversify their portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
create new revenue streams.
Yeah.
So Delta Corp is juggling a lot,
They are?
navigating GST changes,
Mhm.
expanding their casino operations,
Yep.
and venturing into real estate.
And let's not forget the legal hurdles that they're facing.
Oh, right.
It's definitely a roller coaster ride for them.
Okay, let's talk about those legal challenges. What's happening on that front?
One major issue is a retrospective GST demand for previous years.
Wait, retrospective?
Yes.
You mean they might have to pay taxes for years past?
Potentially, yeah.
That could be huge.
It's a significant source of uncertainty for them, yes.
Oh.
Their legal team is challenging it,
Okay.
arguing that the claims are baseless.
Okay.
We'll have to see what the Supreme Court decides.
So that's a bit of a waiting game for them.
It is.
What about the Damon Casino case?
Right.
Any news on that?
Unfortunately, the hearing, which was scheduled for this month, has been postponed to sometime next month.
Okay.
We'll have to wait for further updates on that one.
So they're facing legal limbo on multiple fronts.
They are.
But with all this going on,
Mm.
how are they staying optimistic about the future?
Despite the challenges, Delta Corp maintains a cautiously optimistic outlook.
Okay.
They believe they'll overcome the GST hurdle and return to strong profitability,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the new ship and hotel coming online.
Right.
But they are taking a wait-and-see approach with their online business, anticipating some consolidation in that industry.
So they're being strategic and adaptable,
Exactly.
watching the market carefully before making any big moves in the online space.
Prudence is key in such a dynamic and rapidly evolving landscape.
Well, this has been quite a depth dive already, and we've only just scratched the surface.
Indeed, Delta Corp is a company in motion,
Yeah.
constantly evolving and responding to new challenges and opportunities.
They're pushing boundaries.
Yeah,
Redefining what it means to be a player in the Indian gaming and hospitality market.
absolutely.
But we're not done yet. We'll be back in part 2 to unpack even more about Delta Corp's roller coaster ride.
Sounds good. Delta Corp's story is It's really a fascinating case study in adapting to unexpected changes.
Is.
It really highlights the importance of, strategic decision-making in a dynamic market.
It does. They're not just reacting, right? They're
Yeah.
trying to anticipate
Yeah.
where the market is going.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're playing 3D chess
Right.
when everyone else is still learning checkers.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And they're not shying away from taking risks either,
No.
investing heavily in their core casino business.
Right.
But also in new ventures like real estate.
Which, let's be honest, takes some serious guts.
It does.
Not every company would be so bold,
Oh.
especially with all this regulatory uncertainty
Yeah.
swirling around them.
But that's where Delta Corp's experience and deep understanding of the Indian market comes in.
Right.
They've been in this industry for over 15 years.
Yeah.
They're not just throwing darts at a board.
Right.
They're making calculated bets.
Speaking of bets, that 70% gross gaming revenue to gross chip buying ratio really stood out to me.
Yeah, it's a significant figure that shows how these new GST rules have changed the way people are playing.
So help me understand this. Players can't get a refund for unused chips anymore, right? Does that mean they're being more cautious with their purchases?
Exactly. Before the GST changes, you could buy a lot of chips, play for a bit, and then cash out what you hadn't used.
Right.
Now every chip you buy is essentially a commitment.
So instead of buying 10,000 rupees worth of chips up front, someone might start with 5,000 and only buy more if they're feeling lucky.
Precisely, it's a strategic approach to chip management
Right.
because that 28% GST applies to every purchase.
Which is why Delta Corp's actual gaming revenue ends up being 70% of what's spent on chips.
Right.
Because people are using a larger percentage of what they buy.
Exactly. It's a kind of an unintended consequence of the GST changes.
Yeah.
But one that Delta Corp seems to be adjusting to.
It's like a domino effect.
It is.
And it makes you wonder how this shift in player behavior will affect Delta Corp's profitability down the line.
It's a valid concern.
Right?
On one hand, that higher revenue percentage seems good.
Right.
But it could also lead to lower overall chip sales if people are too hesitant to buy in the first place.
So it's a real balancing act for Delta Corp. Encourage players to buy chips without making them feel like they're being nickel and dimed.
Right. That's where marketing strategies and loyalty programs come into play. How do they incentivize purchases while ensuring a positive customer experience?
Definitely a high-stakes game in more ways than one. But while we're on the topic, how is their online business doing amidst all this?
That's a whole other can of worms.
Right.
The online gaming market in India is still young, but growing rapidly.
And it's facing its own set of regulatory challenges, right?
Absolutely.
Especially with these new GST rules.
A lot of uncertainty for online gaming companies,
Right.
including Delta Corp.
So are they full steam ahead with their online expansion or pumping the brakes a bit?
It seems they've chosen the more cautious route,
Okay.
putting their online expansion plans on hold for now,
Okay.
focusing instead on consolidating their existing online operations and making sure they're profitable.
So prioritizing sustainability over aggressive growth in the online space.
Exactly. They're carefully watching the market, seeing how their competitors react to these GST changes.
Like they're holding their cards close to the vest, waiting for the right moment to make their move.
That's a good way to put it. It's a wise strategy in a market as dynamic and unpredictable as online gaming in India.
So online is on hold, but they're forging ahead with their brick-and-mortar expansion. That new ship is going to be a game changer.
It is.
Literally.
It's a bold move, and it shows their confidence in the long-term potential of the Goa casino market.
But it also shows they're not afraid to think outside the box.
Right.
Who would have guessed a casino company would branch out into water parks and real estate?
It's definitely an interesting development. It speaks to their entrepreneurial spirit and willingness to adapt.
But let's be real, there are still a lot of unknowns for Delta Corp.
Absolutely.
The legal challenges, the evolving regulations, the competition.
It's all part of the equation.
It's a high-risk, high-reward situation.
It is, and that's what makes Delta Corp such a fascinating case study.
Yeah.
They're at a crossroads, making decisions that could redefine their future.
And not just their future, but potentially the future of the entire Indian gaming and hospitality industry.
It's a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
And we'll be watching closely to see how it unfolds.
So it's clear that Delta Corp isn't just, playing the game. They're actively trying to change it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their move into real estate.
Right.
That's a bold move, right?
Yeah.
It's leveraging what they already know
Yeah.
to tap into a whole new market.
It's like they're saying, we're good at this.
Exactly.
We're good at building and managing these huge projects, so why limit ourselves?
Why limit ourselves to just casinos?
Exactly.
Right. And their focus on quick projects, I think, is a strategic way to manage risk and get faster returns.
Right.
They're not tying up all their money in long-term developments.
It's a smart move.
Yeah.
Especially with all the uncertainty in the market.
Definitely.
They're building a more diverse and agile portfolio.
Exactly. And that agility will be crucial as they navigate this, evolving regulatory landscape.
Right.
Particularly in online gaming.
Right. They're playing it safe there for now.
For now.
Waiting to see what happens.
See what happens.
But they're doubling down on their core business in the meantime.
Absolutely. And that new ship is just a clear sign of their commitment to the casino market and Goa.
Yeah.
They're not just staying in the game. They're expanding their presence significantly.
And it's not just about size either. They're focusing on the experience, too.
Right.
All those extra amenities, the shops, the food court, the event space, the kids' areas.
It's all about creating a more well-rounded and attractive experience.
Yeah. It's about creating an experience.
Exactly.
It's not just gambling anymore.
It's a complete getaway.
Exactly.
Destination.
It's like they're building a floating city of entertainment and leisure.
And by diversifying what they offer, they're broadening their appeal.
Right.
And potentially reducing their reliance on gambling revenue alone, especially with the new GST rules.
So they're playing both offense and defense.
They are.
Growing their core business while also exploring new avenues.
It's a dynamic strategy that reflects the changing landscape of the Indian leisure and entertainment market.
A market with huge potential.
Huge.
But also plenty of challenges.
Yes.
Regulatory uncertainty, competition, changing consumer tastes.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle.
It's a lot to handle.
But, as we've seen, Delta Corp isn't afraid of a challenge.
No, they are not.
They're ready to adapt, to innovate, and take calculated risks to achieve their vision.
They're not just rolling the dice.
No.
They're playing strategically.
Yeah.
They're trying to tip the scales in their favor.
And that's a lesson we can all apply to our own lives.
Right.
Whether we're entrepreneurs, investors, or just interested in business world.
So what's the final verdict? Is Delta Corp a company worth betting on?
Well, like any investment, there are risks.
Of course.
But Delta Corp has a proven track record,
Right.
a clear vision, and a bold growth strategy.
And they're operating in a market with massive potential.
Yes.
As India's middle class grows and demand for leisure and entertainment increases.
It's only going to go up from here.
Yeah, so ultimately the decision to invest is a personal one.
It is.
But this deep dive has given you the information you need to make an informed choice.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we've explored the ins and outs of their business, analyzed their strategies, examined the opportunities and challenges ahead.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you
It is.
to weigh the evidence, assess the risks, and decide if you're willing to place your bet
On Delta Corp's future.
on Delta Corp's future.
And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity about the world of business and investing, keep exploring.
Yeah,
There are countless stories out there waiting to be discovered.
absolutely. Stories of innovation,
Yeah.
of disruption, of companies pushing boundaries and reshaping the world.
So stay curious, keep learning,
Yes.
and who knows, maybe we'll uncover your next deep dive together.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us.